Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for spending your time with us today or watching this after the fact. My name is Adam Geller. I am the founder and CEO of an organization called Athena. We build tools that are focused on streamlining feedback to teachers, and we do that using video. I'll pass it to Peter.
Everyone, I'm Peter Youngs. I'm a faculty member at University of Virginia. I do research on teacher learning. My colleagues and I have been collaborating closely with Adam and colleagues at Athena for the past year and a half, 2 years. And we're going to talk to you in this session just about our efforts to provide automated coaching and feedback to teachers on their elementary math instruction.
Yeah.
To Cora.
Yeah, hello everyone. Coral Wiley. I'm the Senior Director of EdTech R&D at Digital Promise. And I've had the opportunity and privilege to collaborate alongside Peter and Adam in this project that they're going to share with you all today. We're really trying to develop through co-design and deep partnership, the types of educational technology solutions that are really going to meet the needs of K-12 educators and leaders, as well as learners. So for today's session, I will be serving as a moderator for this discussion, which hopefully it will be just that. So as Peter and Adam share about the project, do feel free to put into the Q&A section any questions that you have. I'll lead off with some questions, but as you have questions, add them and we'll incorporate that into the session. So to optimize our time, I will go ahead and pass it back to Adam so you can learn a bit more about what it is that he and Peter are doing together.
Thanks, Cora. And also, we want to acknowledge Anna Rowe from our partner district, Coral ISD. Unfortunately, she was not able to attend today, but her name is not up there by mistake. She is absolutely a partner to our project and our work. So my goal here is to just kind of give you a sense of the idea that our organization, Athena, and the researchers at the University of Virginia, how we have been working together. As a former teacher, I think my instinct is to show, not just tell. So I have a few images to help explain what we've been working on independently, and then how we've evolved that by joining up and working together, and also working with our district partners. Okay, here we go. All right, so I want to start with an image of an existing product that was launched in 2022. It's called AI Coach. So if you are up on your AI timelines, that's before any certain products with chat in the name may have come out. And this platform was really trying to convey to educators that what was around the corner was a future where educators, as well as others, were interacting with computers in a completely different way. And so in the AI Coach platform, teachers are actually working with a virtual coach who acts as a guide on the side to support teachers to reflect and analyze their own videos, but also build an action plan for change and then go implement that in their classroom. So Peter and his team independently had been doing some really innovative research around the ideas of, or I guess asking the question, can you use computers and neural networks to correctly analyze videos of classroom teaching, and specifically focused on math teaching? And that question of correctly, I think, is very important to acknowledge, from my perspective as an edtech developer. I feel like there's a lot of, let's call it AI hype out there. But the benefits of researchers working on these types of problems and asking these questions is they don't just build something and say, it works. They really validate it and test it. So they were able to successfully build a computer system that could watch classroom videos with accuracy and reliability as good as or better than a human could code the same videos. I know that's really wild to consider, but that's a really important threshold to have passed. And then what you're looking at here is the first iteration of, actually this is the second iteration, of presenting those data to teachers and to educators. So you have this timeline presentation where the educators were able to interact with the data. And they got lots of interesting and positive feedback, but also some really great suggestions for how to kind of rethink this as they continue to evolve it. So Peter's team and my organization, we joined up and through the support of the Gates Foundation, we have been working on developing the next generation of this idea. So on the research side, that really involves iterating this model that could look at videos and adding in the ability to also analyze the audio of what's happening in the lesson. So again, they're researchers, so this is already true. They've already validated this, what I'm about to say. They've successfully built a neural network, a computer system that can intake a video of a math elementary class lesson and correctly watch that video and now analyze the audio of that video in context. Again, with the reliability and accuracy and he might need to correct me because there's also validity in there. But you can trust it, I think is the important thing. Then in our partnership, we worked to develop the next generation of interacting with this dashboard. One of the things that educators told us loud and clear is that data is really great, but they're swimming in data all the time. What they need is a support system to interact with data. And as you saw before with the AI coach, that's something that we already had some ideas about. So let me show you what we have built. And this is one of the first public presentations of this information. So you as an audience are some of the first people out there in the public to see this. So this is the AI2S prototype platform. And you can see, it has some similarities to the AI coach design language that you saw before, but I want to walk you through some of the kind of innovations to the experience. So first, we've brought in the idea of that coach, that chatbot style coach, that guide on the side. You see the little avatar up there, her name is Edie. So this guide on the side is supporting teachers to basically interact with the various types of data. Then we implemented a process, right? It's not just a dashboard, it's an experience for teachers to really pick what they want of a subset of the data, right? Because we have a lot of different metrics and work through a process to analyze the data. And here we are in the get the big picture step. We start the teachers at the big picture, as it says, but getting them ready to really dive in to a different version of what you saw before. Okay, so here is the brand new version of the experience. So this has a bunch of things open so that you can see a lot of what's happening. But what's nice about the way this works is that it's a progressive experience for the teachers. Bit by bit, things open up. And so down here, this is the new version of that timeline that you saw before. And what we tried to do is make it easier for teachers to see the connectedness between different types of metrics, but also leave specific comments about those metrics and their interplay over time. So we're really excited about bringing this to the ground this fall. We'll be working with districts across 3 different states, including Anna's district in Texas, and getting teachers' feedback and continuing to understand how we can improve this over time. Oh, you are muted, Cora.
Thank you. I was asking Peter if there was anything that you would like to elaborate before we head into the questions.
So I think Adam did a great job with the overview. I'll just mention that as part of the ongoing research we're involved with, we're very much interested in learning from teachers and instructional coaches, principals and teacher educators as they have opportunities to work with this prototype. Sort of their level of trust in working with it and the extent to which they sort of find it to have utility, the degree to which it's useful in terms of possibly supporting their efforts to strengthen and advance math instruction over time. So that will be an important line of the research accompanying what we've developed so far.
Great. So you all spoke of the ways that you are really taking into strong consideration the experience of educators in the design. And so I'm curious if you can speak to how schools, districts, educators, along with developers, researchers, can collaboratively design these evidence-based tools so that they can genuinely address the needs of K-12 educators and learners. So what does that collaborative design process look like?
Adam, I'm happy to say a little bit about the user study, and then maybe you go from there, or would you like to start?
Sure. Yeah.
So, Cora, thanks for posing the question. I think a key part of this process was an opportunity which our colleague, our co-researcher, Jonathan Foster led, where we started, as Adam was outlining, with an earlier version of our teaching analytics dashboard. And we were able to engage over 3 or 4 months several elementary teachers and a few math instructional coaches just to sort of directly get their perceptions of the earlier version of the dashboard, things that they would recommend we add to it or do differently, any concerns they had or outstanding questions. And I think what was exciting is that Adam and the Athena colleagues had already brought this wealth of experience of setting up an AI coaching model. But as we tried to develop what you're seeing here, this new prototype, we were sort of informed by these on-the-ground perspectives of several experienced elementary teachers, a few math instructional coaches, and then also the background and expertise that Adam's team brought. Adam, I don't know if you would add to that or a little additional perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the simplest ways to answer that question, Cora, is through authentic engagement. I think there's a lot of routine and habit. I want to assume the best in everybody out there, right? But like routine and habit around saying that they care about what the teacher experiences, or they, want to build tools that really are a benefit. And they may not necessarily be authentically doing that, right? They may be asking in the last 10% rather than at the beginning, the middle, the end of development, and during the trialing. I think from the, kind of developer side of it, there has to be a willingness that which is an acceptable mindset all the time in research, but that we could be wrong, right? Like we could release this and it could be the wrong thing, or it could not help. And for an edtech org, that might be risky. So I think that for organizations wanting to kind of be more ready to that you have to be willing to take on that risk that you might be wrong in order to find out how you can be better and meet the needs of teachers authentically.
Yes, I appreciate you all kind of naming some of those the tensions that exist and ways that we can kind of overcome them, and to kind of continue in that same line as you're developing the tool in ways that are truly authentic, that are grounded and rooted in the implementation context. How can you ensure then that these tools really preserve teacher and student voice and agency rather than simply taking the route that we see a lot of AI products taking, where it focuses more primarily on just automation, automating tasks and efficiencies. And efficiency is great, but how do you do so while maintaining the teacher-student voice and agency?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I appreciate you bringing up that question of efficiency, because I mean, I think I have really come to this place where I'm willing to pretty directly say that like our goals for successful tools that are tech-enabled, right, AI or not, the top line goal can't be efficiency. Like that is a byproduct of a tool that is having other impact. And yes, everybody needs more time, but if that's all we're aiming for, we'll have left so much on the table. And your question here about like preserving student voice and preserving teacher voice, but even just putting the questions of impact and value of the activities. So I think in a way, for me at least, I don't know, accept it, right? But I think I'm very resolved and happy with the idea that the like primary outcome of a new thing that we develop isn't just saved time. Because think about what we are showing here today. We're talking about reflecting on practice. I think we can have a longer debate on whether or not it's a good theory of change for a computer to tell a teacher what to do versus ask a teacher what they want to do. Hopefully everyone here sees that we're on the second part of that. But this process, just like any coaching process, takes deep thinking. If we've done our job in developing this and through the feedback, we will help accelerate teacher thinking, but thinking still takes time. And that's at the top of the list, right? You don't hear me saying go faster at the top of the list. And there are ways we can help accelerate the thinking. The tool is giving all this data. The tool is pointing out certain moments. It's providing reflection questions. Those things, yes, make the process faster, but they're not the primary motivation for how we're thinking about the design process.
And Cora, I'll just add to that. I think Adam and Jonathan were really thoughtful in terms of the tool that we've been sharing visually. The teacher actually just chooses a single mathematics practice, and then based on their choice, they one at a time get feedback on some of the metrics we can see in the screen here. And they have the opportunity, as they're sort of getting this neural network output, this feedback on frequency of different activities, to go to certain parts of the video, go through some reflection prompts. So the teacher's really playing an active role in choosing which aspects of mathematics within the lesson to get feedback on and to focus on, and even across the lesson, which parts to really drill down and inquire into. So yes, the idea of like the teacher's perspective, their voice, it's really front of mind in this process.
Yeah, and so as you both have been kind of working to address and support teachers, what have you heard by way of what they are forefronting as the need that this tool would be able to address for them?
I think what we found compared to the previous version of our dashboard, where we were just generating general information, how often are you engaged in whole class instruction? How often are you engaged in small group instruction? The 8 or 10 teachers who sort of worked with us this past spring and the mathematics coaches felt it would make more sense to organize around this, around individual math practices, and then almost in a one-at-a-time approach, provide some of this output, these metrics, instead of a several output of information about several constructs at once. So really breaking this down, Adam was really referring to this approach is really trying to promote deep thinking, analysis on the part of the teacher, reflection, as opposed to we're just going to give you a lot of data and let you sort of sort through it. So I think that's been like a really deliberate part of this process.
Yeah, I'll sharpen that explanation that Peter just shared, so that folks watching, that kind of whole process is kind of on the kind of developer and researcher side. We discussed these ideas, right? We talked about the problem, talked about what they had heard, came up with ideas for solutions. And then, as Peter's hinting at, we presented those solutions to validate if they were meeting the needs. Um, and I think that dynamic is actually the important part of the process, right? Like, we had a hypothesis, we have ideas for solutions, but we didn't skip over the like showing the really messy, maybe you think this is a good idea, maybe not. Does this really solve your problem? Part of the process. And so at every step of the way, I mean, it's not about what colors are on the screen, let's be clear, right? It's about like what it's doing, how it's helping them come to these moments of value and insight about themselves. So I think, what's been exciting is as we've been showing these iterative updates to that cadre of educators who've been providing us feedback, they've been saying to us, oh, can I try it? Like it, it's like that early data, that early signal that you want, right? Like they're not there just to give us feedback. They're there and feel like the thing we built is really like they're excited to like put it to use. And so, those educators, as well as the ones that are more formally as part of a study this fall, they'll be giving us feedback all year long. I think that's another part of the process.
Mm. Adam, you kind of spoke to the, what we see here today is not the full story of that process and that journey of getting here. And there, I'm sure, have been twists and turns and pivots. And so if y'all can speak to kind of in the process of leading to where the tool is now, what are some obstacles? What were some of those roadblocks that you all faced? And then how did you work around those to move the tool to what we see today?
I can say a few things about that, and I'm sure Adam has a few things to add as well. Our larger project was really excited a couple years ago to possibly develop a teaching analytics dashboard with a company which was different from Athena. They had high levels of technical expertise. Where we ran into some challenges is kind of the familiarity of some individuals with that group about like a teacher's perspective, some ground truths about working in schools, issues around like instruction and student learning. They did not really bring a strong background there. And despite like the high level of technical expertise, they were not also at the same time sort of nimble, agile, able to sort of do some things pretty quickly to make changes to, at the time, our dashboard. So we have really benefited from the research team, the UVA research team perspective of being able to work with an organization, Adam in particular, but folks who really have deep understanding of teaching and learning, who are agile, who are quick in terms of considering and possibly making changes to our prototype. It's really meant for a productive collaboration.
Let me give an example.
Great.
Don't remember the exact words that we changed, but what's been interesting about this collaboration, and as Peter is saying, we come to the partnership with them, right? Because we're not developing this on our own. This is a collaborative experience. And at some point, with our colleague Jonathan, he had heard from the educators, what they were like, well, what does this mean? What does this mean? What, the words on the page, I think, for example, one was uptake, was a word that they just weren't familiar with, but had, it has a very specific meaning in a research context. And uptake of student ideas, as an example. I don't know if we renamed that one, but the point of this story is, Jonathan and I had a conversation, and I was like, okay, not sure if you're feeling this, but I want to be really clear. We're going to, and it's kind of like getting out the red marker. We're crossing out the words that the educators don't understand. And I'm just like, we're just not going to put those in. So let's come up with new names. Let's come up with educator-friendly names, which of course we tested with the educators. But I think that is an example of, finding it's not really moments of friction, right? But finding things that can be changed. Another thing that has been a technical challenge that was very important to us, also important to Peter and Jonathan, right? But in the prior iterations of this, there was a great amount of time for the teachers to get the data back from the system. And in our world, we're like, okay, well, we have to make this as fast as possible. Like, just works is not good enough. Like, we have to figure out, like, how do we make this as fast as possible? Because, we talked about earlier about efficiency. Well, like, that's a way to create efficiency for teachers. Not just the speed that they can get the feedback, but they don't want to wait around for an hour or 2 hours or 2 days. It was not taking 2 days for them, just to be clear. But, we think, based on our testing, we'll find out what happens in the wild, that a teacher with a 30 to 40-minute video will have all the data available to them and be ready to start their coaching cycle in less than 10 minutes. And so I think that's an example of like pushing through the hard pieces of the problem to spend energy on what matters and what's going to make a difference for the experience, right? Because I do think, you're kind of asking about the experience of the educator in this moment.
Yeah. And you already took us there a bit, Adam, in that last bit. But if both of you can kind of share you all's vision for success, and that could be success for the tool, success for continued collaboration and partnership that you all have really anchored and grounded this tool in. But what does success look like?
Adam, I'm happy to say a few things, and I'm sure you've got some additional comments. So we think the tool has a lot of potential. We're hoping, in addition to the 3 school districts that will be using it this fall, that it will eventually spread to other teachers, principals, instructional coaches, other schools and school districts. From a research standpoint, we're very excited about collecting data and exploring some questions about if a teacher is able to go through 3 or 4 coaching cycles with this prototype, would we see changes in their self-efficacy with regard to teaching math? Would we see changes in their abilities to analyze a video of their own instruction and other people's classrooms? And over time, we're really interested in the question of, in going through this virtual coaching, do we see changes in the quality of their math teaching? So we really feel the prototype has a lot of potential, and we can't wait to spread it to other districts and to examine some research questions related to its use.
First, let me answer this question in a little bit of a sideways way, which is Peter and I are not working together. Oh my gosh, this computer keeps buzzing at me. Peter and I are not working together because, like, on top of the list, because, oh, there was an opportunity to build a cool thing and, we want to be part of that. No, like, this is not opportunistic at all from our view. This is in line with our vision as an organization to help every teacher reach their full potential to have the highest impact with all of their students. And the idea that we can hopefully, right, through this process, validate that this can impact teacher practice so that we know this isn't just a good idea, but this is a good idea that helps have an impact, that's a game changer, right? Because, this is about elementary math right now, but this can expand to secondary math, but to all the other subjects as well. Right now, it's an English language. It could expand to every language, right? Like, when we think about impact and helping all teachers reach their full potential, that is all teachers, whether we're talking about urban, rural, first world, third world, all types of scenarios, right? Every teacher deserves to be their best, just like every human deserves to be their best. And so, that's what we want about it. I want us to get the evidence that it's successful, so we have the reason to turn around and tell everyone we know, look, you should use this. Not because it's cool or it sounds on the cutting edge or because it's the only thing that does this in the entire world. You should use this because it makes a difference. So that's, I think, what I really hope for out of this. Like, we want to know it makes a difference.
That's great. Well, thank you both for sharing. Thank you for those in attendance and those watching. For those who have the opportunity to join us in the Meet the Speaker session, definitely look forward to seeing you all there and hearing from the questions that you have.